All right. Hey, happy Mother's Day, by the way, if you're a mom. If you have children and you are a female, good morning and happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to you. So, I had a joke I'm not going to tell it. All right, I'll save it for the other building. I'll refine it and then I'll save it in the other building. So last week we had a great conversation about marriage and divorce and remarriage and all that stuff. And at the end of the class, there was a really good exchange. Dave made a point about a particular Bible verse. Raquel made another point about that. It was this very good conversation. First, I want to thank you guys for being willing to share your thoughts, because it's important to do that. And it's important to share things that are controversial because it forces us to sort them out, you know. So I wanted to share what our official position is on that, because it's really, I think we ought to do that. And the question was, for pastors, elders, deacons, can they have been divorced? And the answer to that question is, if you read the verse, it says, husband of one wife. Paul was teaching that in a culture where there were men with multiple women. Everybody understand that? It was a really bizarre time back then. In many places, it's even more bizarre now. But what that verse really means, and the scholars all agree for the most part, is a one-woman man. Now, I know some divorced men who are absolutely one-woman men. They have changed, they've learned, they've gone through things, and they are absolutely faithful and committed and model what a good husband is for their family and for their wife and for their church. So what I'm saying is, can an elder or deacon have been divorced? And the answer to that is yes, they could be. But we want to make sure that that man is the right man, that he's faithful to his wife, that he's committed to her, that he's not a flirt, that he's not a philanderer or any kind of person like that, but that he loves his wife as Christ loves the church. He's an example to his family, and he's grown, he loves grace, and he's modeling leadership. So that may mean a conversation as we get close to maybe an ordination, a conversation of, tell us what happened, what's the background, what did you learn from all that? How much did you learn, and what would you suggest to other men who find themselves in the same spot that you found yourself in when you made those decisions that you made that weren't right? You know, so that's the kind of conversation we would have, but at the same time, as was said, I love the conviction of modeling marriage. That was part of Dave's motivation. And I love what Raquel said about the grace of God, which is what we base our life on, everything we are on, right? So that's what our position is. Everyone have a question about that? Anybody at all? No? We good? Okay, let's go to the next commitment. We're going to go to, I believe it's page 4, a commitment to protecting our children. How many of you believe that this day and age, it's especially important that we guard our kids? Yes. And that we are careful with, we're careful to watch for signs that there are issues with children, right? I am a mandated reporter. Raquel, you'd be a mandated reporter. How many mandated reporters do we have in the room? Do you know what a mandated reporter is? Librarian in a library might be a mandated reporter. Baseball, mandated reporter, right? You know what a mandated reporter is? That means if we see any evidence that there has been any form of physical abuse, we have to report it. And so just to confirm that, it's because there's been some confusion about that with us. I'm a pastor. I am sworn to confidentiality. When someone comes to me with a confidential matter or exposure of whatever the case may be, I am legally bound to keep that confidential. The one exception is if I see a child who's been abused. That's the exception. And you better believe it. If I see a child comes in here and they got welts and scars and bruises and bleeding, or they look hungry, or they haven't been fed, or their clothes are torn and they stink, or whatever the case may be, someone's going to get a phone call. You know, I will address you directly, as I've said I would in our studies here, and I'll bring somebody with me. But in this case, we have to say something, right? So in Proverbs, it says that the prudent see danger and take refuge. The prudent see danger and take refuge. One translation says that the prudent see danger and provide refuge for themselves and for others. And I think it's an incredible responsibility that we provide refuge for ourselves in danger, which is important, right? And for others in danger. So what are some of the things that happen to young children today that have not been happening in the past? I would say one thing we could talk about, and we had a conversation with this during prayer. Was it last Saturday we were talking about bullying? What were we talking about bullying?
About sex trafficking.
No, we were talking about bullying the other day. Yes, that's true, but there was another conversation. We were talking about children being bullied. How many of you understand this is an epidemic?
Oh, yeah.
Cyberbullying.
Oh, all kinds of bullying. Was that true?
Yeah, cyber.
Yeah, cyberbullying, bullying at school. There's been a number of suicides of young people in our area here as a result of being bullied at school, you know. And so, you know, first of all, we should be praying for the school system and the school districts. Bullying is not limited to public school, by the way. I remember Karen and I were part of a private school in Rome. It was a Christian school. And there was bullying that went on there. So, and that was years ago. So bullying is not new, and bullying is not limited to public school. It's also not limited to playgrounds, baseball fields, football fields. Wherever you are, there's going to be bullying. Now, I was bullied when I was a kid. A very young kid. There was a young boy on our street. His name was Steve. He was a couple grades older than, a couple grades ahead of me. And whenever he saw me, he would push me to the ground. He'd see me push me to the ground, see me push me to the ground, see me push me around. Well, one day my brother saw him push me to the ground. And my brother pushed him to the ground. My brother pushed him into the ground, like 6 inches into the ground. Now, today, that would be a problem. I don't know. It's a totally different game today. I mean, now, somebody sticks up for a bully, he may go to jail, he may go and get suspended from school, he may get, you know, whatever. So I think there may be consequences for you helping other people. So I would recommend that you're very, very careful and you calculate the way you're going to assist anybody. I'm not suggesting that you see a kid get bullied, you're going to go punch the bully him in the mouth. But what I am saying is you need to be cautious when you get involved in any kind of situation like that. And I would recommend getting counsel along the way and being very, very careful. My father used to say, never break up a fight by yourself. Because someone's going to turn on you in that fight. And that's good advice for physical altercations. If you see two boys going at it, even young guys, 12, 15 years old, don't try to break it up alone if you're a man or a woman, unless you have a black belt or something along those lines and you know how to disarm people. But anyway, to get back to protecting children, there are all kinds of things online. I am not an expert by any means. There's probably people in here that could give you a number of things to look for when you see that someone's being bullied, right? Now, how many of you have been through courses or classes on bullying, right? So what are some of the things that you would look for in the case of a child being bullied? What are some things? Let's go around. Anybody want to start? Josh, you want to start?
Head down, won't make eye contact, won't interact.
That's a general demeanor, right? Wow.
Usually off to themselves.
Off by themselves a lot? Spend a lot of time alone? That's a sign, right? What else?
Flinching.
Flinching.
You know, moving away quickly when someone is approaching something.
Okay. Some other ones? Katie? Huh? Okay. What else? Anybody else have something to add to this? Things you're looking for. What's that? They may fear going to school. That was the one I was thinking of. The kids always hesitant to go. There was one point where I didn't want to go anywhere near the bus stop or the school, and I would feign sick. I said, Mom, I had I took the thermometer one morning and I took my own temperature. I held it to the light, and then I put it in my mouth. And my mom came in. She said, "We're going to the hospital." I said, "Well, you have 112-degree fever." She said, "What's going on?" And I told her. And then she said, "Let's talk to your dad." So that night, my dad came home and Dad said, "What's going on that you don't want to go to school?" And I told him, I hate going to school. I can't stand it. I don't like it. I don't like it. He said, "You have decent grades. What do you mean you don't like going to school? What's happening there that's making you not want to go to school?" My father really dug around. We kind of got to it. I said, "There's some people there that are kind of giving me a rough time," and blah, 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 blah. And he said, my father was like, "Well, suck it up, princess," the whole approach. And he said, and if anybody, my father's advice is not the advice I'd give you. But my dad's advice was, you have every right in the world to protect yourself. By the way, I believe that. So I did. I protected myself on a couple occasions. But they spotted it, and they caught me with the thermometer trick. What else? There's another one. Raquel, you have one.
They try to placate the person, so like they're quick to change their mind, trying to,
Placate, you mean?
yeah, placate. So that way they don't egg on what they think is material, oh, they're gonna be.
Excessively agreeable, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Withdrawing from their normal activity, withdrawing from their friends, not communicating.
Not having their own opinions on something,
Wow.
kind of agreeing with everybody else.
Yeah, I disagree with you, but
Yeah.
I know. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Dave?
I think for anybody that's observing them, not just maybe seeing one day, just like with animals, there's posturing. And you can tell the bullier and the person who's being bullied by the posture, just a teacher's got to be able to see that, if they have any discernment at all.
Yeah.
And that's usually a behind sign of what's going on.
So the thing too is this, and I think Bea was telling me this story. She said there was a girl who was getting cyberbullied, and she came when she was in school. She was wonderful. She was great around the teachers. She was happy, hard worker, great grades, and then at home she would just disappear. She ended up taking her own life. So some of them will really put on the show, like they just don't want anyone to think anything about them, right? Harry, did I get that right? Was that what she did? Because you were part of that conversation, right? Yeah. What are some things you've seen as a school resource officer that?
Okay, so my one incident that I know well is that a young man was dating a young girl in high school. And the young lady had what we call today a watch eye or whatever, one eye was off. And she was bullied terribly. The boyfriend actually sent the kid to the hospital and was removed from school. That story, that incident was relayed to me maybe 100 times when I was growing up, because it was my father and mother. So when it came to bullying, my dad said, you stand for yourself, but more importantly, you stand for others. And I may have gotten that wrong several times in my previous career, because I saw a lot of kids that stood up for themselves in schools and I disagreed with the school officials on having them stand for themselves. But the fact is, if you have a young person that's online and they're getting hammered online, I throw that responsibility to their parents. I don't throw it on you know, it's bad that somebody would do that to someone else online, but that's a parent that's not completely involved. So I may not have the right attitude for that, because I throw the responsibility on parents. And I've seen a lot of parents that do not do a good job monitoring what their kids are doing
Right.
online. And kids are so much, I mean, you know, my guys are a lot older and they didn't have a lot of the stuff that kids have today.
Yeah.
Even my guys were so much smarter than I was online that it is difficult. And I recognize that. But if you've got a kid that doesn't engage, something's there. More than just medical or mental health wise. There's something there.
So I'm going to relate this story with Anne Marie's permission. When I went to see my friends at the PD. Okay, so someone had been harassing Anne Marie. They had keyed her car. She had spotted someone removing a weapon from a trunk. She reported it very wisely to the principal, and somehow it was released to the individual that Anne Marie had spotted the person doing that. Someone may have seen her see them. I don't know what happened. She could probably tell you better.
I was an A+ student going to the principal's office in person like an idiot.
Yeah, so there you go. So they knew something was up. And so her car began to be keyed. This guy began to be staring at her throughout the day, giving her the stink eye and all that stuff. So she told me she knew who it was. Then I knew who it was. So I went down to the police department and asked them to arrest me. And they said, why do you want to be arrested? I said, because I'm going to kill somebody. You need to arrest me now. So the guys who knew me, Stu and Tim, said, all right, Jerry, sit down. Tell us what's going on. And I told them what was happening, and they knew this person. And they knew this person had a background of doing this. So long story short, they may have pulled him over a few times in his car. They may have gone to his father. The police got involved and it stopped. But sometimes that could make it worse. I don't know. You hear these mixed opinions about this. Does it make it worse when the parent gets involved? Does it make it better when the police get involved? Does it make it better when the school system gets involved? The bottom line is I was concerned for her safety. And anything that threatens my daughter's safety, my boys I don't care too much about, but my daughter's safety. You know, but you know, it's like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. I know who you are. I know who you are. That's stopping. That's going to stop. So, parents, Harry, like you said, it is squarely on the responsibility of the parent to be monitoring your child's social media. And I don't care what they say. You live in the house. You have no privacy when it comes to that, because frankly, that's all public stuff, and you're putting things online. And by the way, young folks, whatever you put online will be there for the rest of your life and beyond. So frankly, I think there's, one way you could stop the bullying on social media is get off social media. Yeah.
There's some countries already starting to incorporate 16 or older
Yeah.
You need to show valid proof now to get on social media.
I think Instagram is one of them. Aren't they doing that in the United States though? Somebody either Instagram or TikTok or somebody like.
They're trying to do it in the US, but there's a lot of security measures, they're getting a lot of kickback. The EU's already got it implemented.
Yeah. Well, the argument that's being made against it is the free speech argument, but it's like, no, you know, I don't know. You can't drink until you're 21, you know. So, I mean, there's age limits on certain activities. You can't drive until you're 16 and a half. So why can't there be an age limit on that? So anyway, protecting young people. So I think the first thing that we've got to do is be aware, you know. And I think, you know, some of you may have even had children who have been bullied, and some of them may even have expressed thoughts of ideas of self-harm to you. And we have to take those very, very seriously. We have to take those very, very seriously. And there's a delicate balance with a parent because, you know, sometimes if you pull that string on that child too hard, it breaks. You know, the relationship there's a little bit of strain to begin with, and now you're trying to reel that in a little bit, and but you know, I think sometimes humble, honest communication from a parent, and remembering that you made incredible mistakes as a young person, right? Isn't that right, Helen? Everyone in this room, you've all made tremendous mistakes as a young person. So make sure when you come to your children and you talk about things that they've been participating in or doing, that you're humble. But you communicate with honesty and with authority because you are responsible for them. And it's I'll tell you what, it's not an easy balance. It's not an easy balance at all. Children are a blessing from God. That's the first point. That's what we've got here. And he calls the church to support parents in their responsibility to train children and discipline children in the instruction of the Lord. Now, I don't know about you, but I grew up in a time before they came up with all these rules. You know, my mother could scold me in public and not, you know, be arrested. Yeah.
My father was principal of junior high, 5 through 8. We had shop class then. They made him a paddle, this thick. And when you went to your principal's office,
Oh, yeah.
you got that?
Mrs. Crawford, Elementary School, James Clark. I received the discipline of the paddle, corporal punishment. How many of you went to school?
In the boiler room.
We didn't have a boiler room, but how many of you have ever had corporal punishment in your school? Anybody here? All right. In the school. Yeah, mice, and somehow I doubt that. Well, it worked for you, didn't it? Okay, so I guess it counts. But you know, we didn't have all these crazy rules and stuff, and you know, you couldn't spank your child or whatever. Yeah, John.
Thank you. I raised my hand, and now my wife knows something that she had not known previously.
He's a bad boy.
And she married me.
Okay. I'm not talking about her using the paddle on you. I'm talking about school, that it happened in school. Okay, okay, thank you. Oh my God. I'm not suggesting that you should beat your kids, you know, but I am suggesting that you should scare them a little bit. You know, like,
It's true. There's been studies that a bully in school is bullied at home.
right,
So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's some truth in that.
there is.
Look further at the bully, too.
So what we're talking about, usually when we get, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this in the service this morning because we're talking about marriage and family and children for the next few weeks. Boundaries, teaching a child boundaries. You know, what are, the child needs to know where his behaviors, where the boundary is. Okay, you don't cross this line. And teaching them where that line is an important thing. You teach the line verbally. You teach the line with discipline. You teach the line by example. You model the line there's going to be times, I believe, that when a child crosses the line that they need to receive a spank. Now, we had, our system at the time was one spank or two spanks. There were no repeated blows. There were no, you didn't, there was a, we on purpose decided, Karen and I, that we would administer a spank at a time. If you don't stop that, there was one warning and then a spank. David's like,
But they were 5 minutes apart.
what's that?
Some of us use the warning period to flail.
Yes, Paul used the warning period to flail out. Squirm. So we would administer the spank. Like I remember there was one time David kept putting his hand up into the pizza. He doesn't remember this, but you don't do it anymore, do you? So he just put his, and I looked at him. I said, David, stop that. He did it again. David, I gave him like 4 warnings. I gave way too many warnings. Then I said, okay, that's going to be a spank. Go in the bathroom. And they go. You know, so one spank. Now sometimes Karen would threaten with 2 spanks, but it was one spank. I had a wooden spoon. It's about this long. I had a wooden spoon, huh? Pants on. Yeah, pants on. But I didn't use my hand.
Yeah.
Because I didn't use my hand because I didn't want the hand that I would touch their face with or to hold their hand when we're going across. I didn't want to use my hand. But that was our system. Now, was it right? It worked. I mean, we had to use it very seldom. I think maybe Anne-Marie 3 times, David maybe once or twice, Paul 70, 80. But I mean, we didn't have to do it. We didn't do it a lot. But there was a plan, and the children knew the plan. The children knew there would be a consequence for direct, blatant disobedience. We didn't spank foolishness. You don't spank foolishness. You do discipline direct, rebellious disobedience. There's a boundary there, and that is intolerable. We didn't tolerate that. So that's what we did, and they knew it. Like I heard a story of this one. There was a mom who was picking up the kids from a friend's house. The mom showed up, yelled up the stairs, "Come on, kids, let's go!" And one of the boys started to who lived there started putting the stuff away, and the girl that was his mother said, "Oh no, we got another 10 or 15 minutes. She'll scream at us again." And then the mom yelled up the stairs again, and the girl said, "Okay, I only have a couple more minutes now because she's going to get mad and come up the stairs." So the mom had developed the pattern, and the daughter was just adjusting to the mom's pattern. So mom created the boundary, and it was not a good one, right? The church should be a safe and blessed place for children. Now, we have a commitment here that we're going to keep an eye on abuse problems, right? Because they can happen at home. There's also verbal abuse, which is oftentimes much more damaging, right? Since sin affects every person and organization in the world, however, it's impossible that children could be harmed it is possible children could be harmed during church activities. We can't guarantee that such things will never happen in our fellowship, but we are committed to take every reasonable precaution to protect children from reasonable harm. Now, if you're going to teach in our Sunday school class, we're going to interview you, we're going to have you fill out some forms, and we're going to get references from people who know you. And then anything that's kind of a red flag on the references, we're going to research. But we also don't like our adults being alone in a room with the younger kids. So we don't have that. Like nursery, there's 2 people all the time. Yeah.
A couple of churches have done to do routine background checks on anybody who's going to be teaching children especially, but even adults.
Yeah. Harry is developing a plan we've been working on at the church safety plan. And we haven't done it in the past, but we're going to begin probably next year, the beginning of the year, doing background checks.
All Sunday
We haven't done it.
But that hasn't done, but we all signed waivers saying that they.
Yeah. Usually that's enough to flag if somebody knows they're going to have a background check. If there's anything in their background, they won't sign the waiver. That was the thinking behind it. So, but we're going to actually do background checks because it's getting to the point now where, but with a background check, the other issue is they could have done something, but if no charges have been filed or if they hadn't gotten in trouble, the background check's not going to bring anything up.
Or if they were good for 6 months, their record's gone.
Yeah. So sin affects the organization. Sin affects every person in an organization one way or another, but we are absolutely committed to protecting children. We don't allow anyone to work regularly with youth or teenagers unless they have regularly attended church for at least 6 months and have agreed to these relational covenants. So anyone who's going to work with kids in the Sunday school, you're going to be here for 6 months, you're going to be part of you're going to make a commitment to these, and then if you're qualified, you may be able to teach Sunday school. We require all youth workers to complete a detailed application and a screening process. And then we require that whenever practical, youth workers are in terms of teams of 2 or more and are visible to the other workers. So you'll notice on all of our doors, we don't have any solid doors, except in the bathrooms. But we don't have solid doors. And that's on purpose. And if a child is harmed in our church, we'll take immediate steps to inform the parents to accept responsibility for our role in the situation and to hold offended youth workers fully responsible for their actions. It may involve the law enforcement, or will likely involve law enforcement. So it's a important topic, and we are really upset that churches don't do a better job with this. I know, I've had a policy in my ministry for the past 27 years here. I will not counsel a woman alone in my office. So if you want to have a conversation with me, I hate to break it to you, I won't meet with you by yourself. If we are to talk one-on-one, it'll be in a big room like this with someone in the kitchen or someone down the hallway, but it won't be in my office. I just won't do it. Sometimes I'll go in there if there's a quick reason for me to see, okay, they're here for somebody. The police department.
They're here for Harry.
Harry walks out with his head down. No, not again.
He must have been bullied in the past.
You know what? Our Seneca Falls Police Department comes through the parking lot. They come through the parking lot a couple times during church service now, just so you're aware. And they also are here during the day. So.
I had them at 2 a.m. this morning here.
Oh, we were wondering if they were gonna stop by.
Well, there was a car parked in the middle of the road. Lights on, nobody.
Yeah.
We just.
So they check on us pretty regularly here. So, and isn't that what we want? I mean, that's what's amazing about that. I mean, I remember they were trying to dissolve the police department in Seneca Falls, and I went to a meeting and I said, wait a minute. These guys know the color of my children's bicycles. They know my cars. They know when I'm gone, when my wife's alone in the house. They know I have a German Shepherd. They know. I want that police department in my community. So defund something else. All right. So these are the minimal steps that the church should take to protect children. We've also referred to, on the bottom here, there's other things that we have considered. And one of them is, Harry will be presenting something probably in the fall. And then we'll be implementing some of the stuff at the beginning of next year. But we're pretty excited. He had gone to a seminar about church safety, which includes a lot of things, a lot of different aspects of making sure the church is a safe place for adults and children. And this day and age, we want to make sure that everyone has a good experience and a good, safe experience here. All right. So I think stop there. It's 40 minutes. That'll give you 20 minutes to goof off. Does anybody have a comment or question about any of this? Please feel free.
I would note that a lot of our youth workers, due to the jobs that they do, have had background checks. Like, I just had a background check done last year for being,
Did you pass?
well, they let me teach.
Yeah.
They needed a teacher that bad, or?
How many Sunday school teachers are here this morning? You're a Sunday school teacher here this morning. Put your hand up a little higher. Okay. How many of you have background checks done?
Well, I teach, so yes.
Yes, yes, yes. I have. Have you? You have with baseball, right? They've done a best every year. Yep. So a lot of us have already had. Julie, you've had a background check done. So yeah, by the organizations that you work with, like Steve said, some of those you already have them. So that's really good. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, driving a bus, right? Okay, anybody else have a comment or question? Anyone at all? Okay, love you guys. God bless you. Have some more coffee. You get plenty of time before service. Oh, thank you for participating in the prayer. 72 hours of prayer. Thank you for participating in that. Hold on a second. Thank you for participating in that. At the end of service today, about 10 minutes after close of service, there was a prayer box that Raquel had set up so people could put their prayers, their struggles, or whatever they wanted to put in there, which we're going to burn. And we're going to burn it about 10 minutes after church in the fire pit. So if you put something in there, like I did, that you want to see go up in smoke, be there at 10 after. We're going to light it on fire. And so, all right? Hey, it's not too late. If you want to put a prayer request in there, hey, if you want to put something in there, right, go right in the room. It's the first room on the right. The box is in there. You can put a prayer request or a hurt or a pain or something that you just want to release to God. Put it right in there. We're going to burn it.
The purpose of that box is for when you're struggling with something or you've been wrestling with God about forgiving someone, a struggle that you're going through, that you want to cast onto God. And the best way to do that is, I think, by symbolism. So you put that in there. I will put it in a cardboard box. I don't look at it. I don't want to know. It's not my responsibility to know that. That is God's. Then I cover it with more paper towels. I close it, and then I wrap it with more paper towels, and then we put it in the fire pit. And then you can watch as your smoke goes up, release that burden to God, because it is now His.
And then the next pastor will be elected. And no, there won't be any gasoline poured on the fire. So.